Stomach. Stomach is a J-shaped structure. It is present in the abdomen and it is divided into three parts. They are cardiac part because it is near to the heart. That is why it is called cardiac part. Then fundic part is also called body. This is called fundic part. This is a cardiac part. Fundic part is the major part. It is also called body of the stomach. And the last one is called pyloric region. Of this, fundic part is the largest part. It is the main body of the stomach. So generally, when stomach is empty, the epithelium is folded to form several folds called rugae. So let us see different sphincters associated with stomach. So the anterior part of the stomach is guarded by an esophageal sphincter. This is also called lower esophageal sphincter. And posteriorly it is guarded by a pyloric sphincter. And it shows towards inner side a concave surface. It is also called a lesser curvature to its outer side of this bag-like structure. The convex side is called greater curvature. It is to the outside of the stomach and this one is towards inside of the stomach. Histology of stomach. Like any other part, this part of the gastrointestinal tract, it shows four major layers. The outer one is serosa and next to it is muscularis layer or muscular externa. This muscular externa shows three types of muscles. One is longitudinal muscles, then followed by circular muscles and oblique muscles. Presence of these three muscles in the wall of the stomach helps in churning process. And next to this is called the submucosa. Submucosa contains the lymphatic vessels, blood vessels, etc. And the innermost layer is called mucosa. Here this mucosa, it raises like a small foldings. They are called rugae. So to summarize this, the transverse section of stomach wall contains an outer serosa, a middle muscular layer, then submucosa, and the innermost one which fold and rise like a rugae is called mucosa. The three-dimensional view of layers of stomach shows the outermost serosa, muscularis layer, submucosa and mucosa. Here serosa is the outermost covering. It is made up of simple squamous epithelium. It is also called visceral peritoneum. Whereas muscularis layer of the stomach wall shows three types of muscles. The outermost longitudinal, then middle circular and inner oblique muscles. Between longitudinal and circular muscles, a myenteric plexus, which is a part of enteric nervous system, is present and it will control the contraction and relaxation of the muscles of muscularis layer. And the muscularis layer is mainly responsible for the peristalsis. The next layer is called submucosa. Submucosa contains the blood vessels, that is arterioles, venules, and also lymphatic vessels. And the mucosa is divided into muscularis mucosa, lamina propria, and simple columnar epithelium. So this columnar epithelium is folded to form gastric pits. Let us see the histology of gastric glands. These are scattered cells in the gastric epithelium. It contains both exocrine cells as well as endocrine cells. Let us see the cells of simple columnar epithelium of the stomach. It shows mucus producing cells. They are located on the surface, that is why they are called surface mucus cells. They are present in this neck of the gastric pit. That is why they are called mucus neck cells. Apart from that, the chief cells, they produce gastric juice which contain pepsinogen and gastric lipase. Then another type of cells called parietal cells. They secrete hydrochloric acid and also intrinsic factors. These constitute exocrine part, whereas endocrine cells are called G cells. They produce gastrin. This gastrin will activate all other cells so that they produce gastric juice and mucus. Now let us see the cells and functions of this gastric or stomach part. So here mucous neck cells, they produce mucus and this is rich in bicarbonates. It helps in protecting the wall of the stomach from enzymatic action. The parietal cells, they produce HCl and also intrinsic factor. This intrinsic factor is useful in absorption of calcium ions. The next type is the enterochromophilic like cells. They produce histamines. So these histamines will stimulate the acids. The chief cells, these are mainly secreting the pepsinogen, which is an inactive form, later converted into active pepsin. They also produce gastric lipase. So a gastric juice contain protein digesting enzyme and lipid digesting enzyme. Apart from this, there are endocrine cells, and D cells, they produce the somatostatin, whereas G cells produce gastrin. This gastrin is mainly responsible for activation of all other type of cells. They can activate D cells, chief cells, chromophilic cells, parietal cells, and neck cells. Together, it is called gastric juice. This gastric juice, its pH is around 1.5 to 2, and the gastric juice is able to digest proteins and fats or lipids. Gastric juice cannot digest carbohydrates. Stomach is a J-shaped enlargement of gastrointestinal tract. It is inferior to the diaphragm, and stomach has four major regions. They are cardiac, fundus, body, and pylorus stomach. Cardiac stomach. It surrounds the superior opening of the stomach. A round portion superior to and to the left side of cardiac is called fundus part. Then inferior to the fundus is a large central portion of the stomach. This is called body of the stomach. And the concave inner median border of the stomach is called the lesser curvature, and its convex lateral border is also called the greater curvature. Pyloric stomach. It connects the stomach with that of duodenum, and it is divided into two parts, that is pylorus antrum and pyloric canal. These two leads into the duodenum. The pyloric canal is surrounded by a pyloric sphincter that regulates the chyme into the duodenum. So the wall of the stomach shows four major layers. They are serosa, muscularis layer, submucosa, and mucosa. Serosa is made up of peritoneum, and muscularis externa contains an outer longitudinal muscles, inner circular and followed by oblique muscles. So the inner epithelium is folded to form rugae. This rugae shows the gastric glands. Mucosa shows foldings. It is lined by columnar epithelial tissue, and it shows several cells. So the epithelial cells extend down into the lamina propria and forms gastric glands. Gastric glands, they open into gastric pits, and they contain three types of exocrine cells. They are surface mucous cells, mucous neck cells, parietal cells, and chief cells. The endocrine part contain G cells. Gastric juice includes the secretions of mucous cells, parietal cells, and chief cells. And totally 2000 to 3000 ml of gastric juice is produced per day, and it is released into the gastric pits and into the stomach.